Good day, dear friend, and welcome to the Thursday version of this thing of ours on June the 6th, D-Day, the 80th celebration, remembrance of this most important day. And we talked about it this morning, and I appreciate your being with us and being with me and before we begin, I wanted to tell you right off the bat, this means a lot to me. I want a couple of things. First of all, I want you to understand how much I appreciate the fact that you are here. And that's something that we don't do enough of. We don't say thank you. You could be a lot of places right now. You could be doing a lot of things. You could be elsewhere, but you're here. And for those who are brand new, I would hope we have had a little bit of a family. We have, don't you think? I love the way you say, hello, friend. Hello, Grace, everybody, Gracie. And then you say, hello. That means a lot to me because this is a broadcast, but it's also people who are showing up who can speak to each other. And I'm curious if many of you have spoken, made friends, and perhaps maybe spoken outside of the realm of this, which is fascinating. So I appreciate that. Second, I hope that you always feel I'm speaking to you, that I'm not. There's one person, I'm not going to mention his name, but whenever he speaks, he's broadcasting. I'm thinking to myself, I don't feel like he's talking to me. He's not saying anything to me. He's I don't know what it is. He's just not speaking to me. He's making a speech. And I saw somebody the other day in a kind of a rotation on YouTube, and it was Jimmy Dore, and I happened to catch one of the particular things he did, and when he was doing one of his not monologue, I hate the word monologue, but one of his particular pieces, I thought he's talking to me. I got it. I felt it. And it was because of his history in stand up and performance and that sort of thing, which I think made a big deal. So I always want you to think that I'm talking to you and not that I'm just making a speech. Sometimes I see folks, they do live. There's one I like. I'm wondering, why are you doing this live? You should have just done this, because you're not, there's no immediacy. I don't feel like you're doing anything like it's really live, or you know what I'm trying to tell you? Does this make any sense to you? Dennis, does this make sense to you? Okay. It's all that matters. So today, among everything else, I've been listening to so much stuff. Don't even know where to start. And one thing I wanted to start with was I happen to be, because I'm on YouTube, I love the way it just takes you in journeys. Sometimes people have a real hard time. When I speak, a thought will give rise to a thought, which will give rise to a thought. And we go here, and then I'll think of this, and then say, that reminds me of this. And that's the way I think most people think. That's a sign, I think, of a fecund mind, a fertile mind. You go here, here, here. Not you're all over the place, but there's different ideas, different things. Playing different songs, playing different tunes, playing different whatever. So as I was listening today to YouTube, it just, you go here and you go here, and I was watching something on storms, great storms, and it knows my taste or whatever it was. And I ran into two pieces. One was, well, both were Reagan. I loved Ronald Reagan, not the presidency per se, but what America was like during his tenure, the style, he wore tan suits. You remember this one? It was wonderful. He and Nancy were, and they always talk about his background. Ron Reagan. Where is Ron Reagan? He's a good guy. You should know him from Air America. He was a good guy. And then Maureen passed away, but then Michael Reagan. I don't know if he's. I mean, there were these, and then the Reagan daughter. What's her name? The one who was real wild, the wild child. Ron's sister. What was her name? What was her name? Somebody quick. Tell me. Patty. Thank you so much, Patty. And they always talked about, Reagan was this with the family and cold. But Reagan was reading a speech at the 40th anniversary of D-Day. The 40th anniversary. And it was absolutely brilliant. Our good friend Alexander Felke, or Felk, I like Felke, says, it's 1 a.m. in Germany. However, I want to show my support for your show, especially when having to watch the World War II ceremonies. By the way, I go by Alex. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate this. And I go by you. And I thank you for that. 1 a.m. in Germany. I was watching how Reagan was speaking 40 years afterwards in a style that nobody else exhibited. Nobody else, we haven't seen a style like this. There was a dinner one time to honor Tip O'Neill, and Reagan was speaking on behalf of it, and Tip O'Neill was the honoree. And Tip O'Neill, by the way, was not the person who said all politics is local. It was his father, because Tip O'Neill lost his first race, and he was very despondent. And his father said, you never brought it home. All politics is local. In any event, you mentioned Germany. How are Germans supposed to feel about Hitler? I know that's a loaded question. Are you supposed to take any type of... we knew nothing about Germany. I didn't growing up. We weren't travelers, world travelers. The only thing I learned about Germany was Hogan's Heroes, Schnell, maybe beer, something. It was always like we didn't know anything. And I was wondering, and every time I heard German, Alex, it was always somebody yelling. It was, dare I say, Hitler-esque. Why? And then, right around 80, whatever it is, then I heard for the first time, and please forgive me because I was not a purveyor of music, Nina came along and has the most beautiful, beautiful music in German. Beautiful. And I'm embarrassed to say I knew so little about German. Knew nothing about German culture. Nothing. And I remember they kept saying, we have a real problem, with the whole Hitler thing. I'm thinking, why? Well, we're just kind of embarrassed about that. Why? Well, because it's not good. We belong with Hitler. And I would think to myself, that's fascinating to think that a whole country would have not an just assuming you are by virtue of the fact that you're German and it's 1 a.m. in Germany and you know what you're talking about. But I'm wondering, I'll bet you probably came across somebody whose father or grandfather, somebody was in the German army who fought. Are they bad people? Were they all out? Were they all bloodthirsty? No, they're not. Everybody's got a point. I got into not an argument because I avoid arguments. Professionally, I do this with you, but I'm not going to do it on my own time. And I said, do you know what Hamas represents to not all, but some Palestinians? Do you know what Hamas represents? Do you? Do you know what they think? It's called empathy. It's called empathic. To be empathic, to know how people feel, not to agree with it, to know how they feel. I did something the other day and I put it up, and it's a subject matter that I don't think anybody understands, or maybe they get upset, but it's, how does a serial killer think? Fascinates me. I want to know. Empathic. I don't sympathize with them. These are horrible people. People, for some reason, they think wanting to know something is the same as. So I want to know what people think. And I want to know, especially when it comes to war, what is it that we're supposed to think of the other guy? What are we supposed to think of these folks? So in any event, so here we are today. And the world, 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan, who had a class and a panache, again, he wasn't the greatest president, but it was a different style. And they spoke of a different era. And I see things today, and I'm going to say something, and you may not like this, but I'm going to tell you because I always tell you the truth. Remember this. I always tell you the truth. You may not like it all the time, but I never lie to you. Never. When Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC and Jasmine Crockett or whoever these people are, when I see people like Fannie Willis sit back and show contempt for judges, it's a legal thing versus political. When I see Tiffany Henyards, when I see George Santos, when I see this, it hurts me. It's like, this is not good. This is not the way we're supposed to act. This used to be honorable. The days of Everett Dirksen and Mike Mansfield and, oh my God, Hubert Humphrey. And now, granted, prior to that, there was one fellow who clubbed somebody to death. But because of the internet, because of social media, we are so mean. We troll each other. We do stuff that is so horrible. I'll give you an example. I did a video, and for those of you who are Lionel members, you've got it early. But it deals with a fellow, and there was a case you might have seen, and people are mocking this man. I feel very, very sorry for him. Very, very sad. But it's a case involving an individual by the name of Corey Harris. Did you see this feller? Did you see Corey Harris? Corey Harris was the one in Michigan who never had a driver's license. Did you see that one? He never had a driver's license. And for some reason, there is a Judge Cedric, I believe. What is his name? Judge Cedric. And let me get this name right. I don't want to misquote him. You know what I'm talking about. The judge who sat back, who wears very interesting shirts, orange and red and wild. And yes, Cedric Simpson. Now, Judge Cedric, do you know who I'm talking about? I hope you do. Cedric Simpson had a problem where they wanted to get him off the bench because he might have acted inappropriately regarding an intern of his, where he might have intervened when she had a DUI. And, so that kind of went away. And I am not intimately familiar with it, but you do know who he is, right? Judge, this is this fellow he was driving. They had a Zoom, a quote, virtual court hearing, and he's driving. Okay. He's driving in his car and he's looking up and he has this, and I did one too. And I jumped on it too, because it was funny and we're jumping the bandwagon, raw meat. People loved it. People laughed. Okay. Well, and by the way, he's a bit of a judge rule. I mean, there's no way he's never had a driver's license. Never. How do you not have a driver's license? How do you not? Please. Okay. But here's what I want to bring up to your attention. He said, my life is a living hell. What he said was, and I'll paraphrase, okay, I'm not a genius. Okay, I made a mistake. All right, okay, I don't have a license. It's not the first time this has happened. But what you did to me online, I went viral overnight. Do you know what this was? This man was hated and laughed at and mocked. Worldwide. Not somebody in the newspaper who could have been there and said, okay, here's a story, and then somebody picks up on the story. No. We all looked at it, and he's got that kind of Bubba Gump look. His mouth kind of hangs open. He doesn't look very bright. And is there racism involved? Well, not really. But let me ask you this question. Would we have laughed the same way if it was a 70-year-old retired insurance executive with white hair named Brad? Probably not. If it had been an old woman, probably not. Maybe an old white woman or black woman, maybe not. but he just came across as a dumbass. Is it racist? No. No. We react differently to different people. Had it been somebody with a thick Spanish accent, might have been funnier. To make a long story short, my friends, we are losing civility. And I know you probably may not even know that. And there are kids today who don't know that because they were raised in captivity. They have no idea. Recently, not too long ago, we're at an event, and a friend of the family has a young man, great kid. He sat at we're out having a dinner party. I mean, he's, a young kid, he's not listening to a bunch of old people talk about whatever it is, but he was on his phone the whole time. Like we could, like I could have been on fire. And it's not his fault. It's not just him. Everybody does it. Parents hand this device to a kid. You ever see it? Because the parents sometimes say, oh my God, Jesus, God, finally got a night out. Here, play with your tap pad. Just play with the damn thing. Just leave me alone. I understand that completely. But this young man was born in captivity. He's never known not having a phone. Never. And there are people who are going to be raised in a world where they've never known incivility. They've never known anything but bad politicians. It's a joke right now. There's no more Ronald Reagan. If you tell me, what is Ronald Reagan could be James Madison for these people. It's over with. This was 40 years ago. And I've got to get through my head that we're just not going to see this again. We're not going to see this. That's just the way it is. And it's not my fault for thinking this. And it's not your fault either, by the way. It's not your fault. I want to explain a couple of things right now to you, which are very, very critical. And I want to explain this one, which is tough to you. I don't like making fun of people. Anybody here you ever had any relatives or old fathers or mothers who kind of were senescent? Wonderful phrases: senescent, dotage, hobbled by decrepitude, senile, demented. There's all these words. There are certain cognitive things that when you get older, sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Don't forget Alan Dershowitz, who may be full of but he's 85 years old. He's sharp as a tack. Our friend who just passed away, priest, he was 103. I talked to him a couple of times, but right before he died, and I'm not just telling you he sounded. I talked to my great pal today used to run the Carnegie Deli. It was his birthday, and I talked to him on the phone. And I said, you sound great. I said, you sound exactly the same. He said, well, we're getting older. I said, I'll tell you when you start to, when you start to go down. So I don't like to make fun of it because I see people who really, it's horrible. But I don't want people to be putting these folks, even though I don't want to make fun of them, in terms of running my country. I don't want to laugh. I don't want people to laugh at me. I don't want people to laugh at us. I don't want people to lose respect of this country. And they already have for many, many reasons because of our foreign policy. But there's no excuse for this. There's no excuse. And it is a sin. We were growing up in Catholic school. That's a mortal sin. Oh my God, that's a mortal sin versus a venial sin. Okay. Malum unse, malum prohibitum. I got it. It's a mortal sin what they're doing to the respect that we have for this country. And I love my country. Government, I despise, but I love my country. Don't you agree? And people, believe it or not, they like us. May not like our government, but I think people like the government. We live in the one of the tourist capitals of the world. We see nothing but tourists all the time. I hear languages. You can always see Airbnb. And I can tell tourists by their glasses or by their sneakers or their trainers, as we say. You can always tell. They just have this look. I can always spot a European across the room because of the way they eat. So beautiful. When I see people, I've told you this a million times, when I see people hold a fork like this, kind of like Pablo Casal's, like, what is this? Or like this. You seen this one? You put your finger at the top of the fork? What is this? What is this? This? And they look at you like, what are you talking about? It's like, why are you holding your fork like that? What do you mean? What is this? Friar Tuck? What are you gonna do? Rip your meat? What is this? It's who we are. But whatever. But I can always tell people from other countries, and they love this place. They love it. And no matter what anybody says, when you see people walking around Times Square at night, have you seen it lately? It'll blow your mind. The billboard, they're not billboards, they're these screens that are just bright, and God forbid you have any kind of epilepsy or any kind of photophobic reaction. You will freak out when you see this. So I love this. So instead of that, we have a guy who shows up, and why they're doing it to him, it's so unfair, it's not even funny. And it hurts me to say this. I'm not saying that just to. During one particular scene, did you see all of a sudden Joe Biden just walks off with Dr. Jill? Just walks off. Macron goes this way. And by the way, don't say, hey, I got some great macaroons versus macaron. Macaroons are that coconut thing. Just get it straight, please. Antediluvian Doomer says, Joe is the leader we deserve. USA is itself a demented ephebophile with continence issues. You know what? Very, very good. Versus a hebophile. Thank you for that. I think you're onto something. Sad to say. I don't like saying this, but remember, this is our government. This is not our people. This is not our culture. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's a different story. But here's one for you. As the world looked, why they brought this dotard, I have no idea. While everybody is there commemorating the 80th anniversary, this is it. He's older than D-Day, technically speaking. Watch Joe. Just walk off. See ya. Have a good day. That's it. And Macron's over here saying, all right, he's talking to people, and Joe just left. Macron and that white guy, look at this. They're standing there, people are saluting, and there's Macron saying hello and doing his thing. Joe's off. Look at this, meeting these folks. You know how old these folks are? This is the most amazing thing in the world. It's the most amazing thing in the world. Isn't that horrible? Did you hear the story about a man who was 102, 103, who died on the plane? I heard on a, I don't know if I heard it correctly, but he died on his way there. One of the funniest moments, and I hope people recognize this, one of the funniest moments, it's sad to say it shouldn't be funny, but it was the funniest moment, was when Joe got it wrong as to the Ukrainian-Russian kerfuffle and who is supposedly, whose side Joe is on. Did you hear this one?
Inflicted on the Russian aggressors, they've suffered tremendous losses, Russia.
Did you hear that again? Let me try this again. Who is he talking about? Is he talking about Ukraine or Russia? Listen carefully.
They've inflicted on the Russian aggressors,
they've inflicted on the Russian aggression, all right.
Suffered tremendous losses, Russia.
Russia, tremendous losses, Russia.
The numbers are staggering. 350,000 Russian troops dead or wounded.
I don't think he meant that. I think he meant Ukrainian. I think, or maybe not. I don't know. And meanwhile, Jill's back there saying, I don't care. I don't care. Why did they let this happen? Why didn't somebody say, sir, all you have to do is just read the damn thing. Just read this. We're not asking you to just read the prompter. It's all you have to do. It's not that big of a deal. And people are saying, did he say Russia? He's worried about Russia. And by the way, I know nobody wants to talk about this, but if it wasn't for Russia, if it wasn't for Stalin, sorry, gang. We came in 1941. We were there at the tail end. And many people still say that without D-Day, which was critical, there's no doubt about that, that would have extended it about another year. Here's another classic. This was have you ever seen people tweak? It's very, very sad. Sometimes you see people and they're in this frozen contortion. Have you seen them? They're kind of frozen. They just bend over and they're just frozen. I don't know what the word is. I remember one time but before I knew what it was, there was a girl, she was on the ground and she was just, I thought they were like, these people were doing Tai Chi, but it's they're heroin or on something. Well, Joe tries to sit in this imaginary chair or something, or maybe he's doing a mime routine. Maybe you can tell me what this is. He's walking over there. Look at the gate. I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. No, this is Joe I'm sorry. This is Joe this is just a matter of just walking off. He's just walking. He doesn't know where he is. This is the one I wanted to show you. Watch this. We call this, I guess, a yoga position, the invisible chair. There we go. Look at this. Look at Joe.
Distinguished guests, please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
What in the hell is this about? Now, of course, as you know, everybody did they were, hang on. Sorry about that. They were adding every kind of flatulent piece, and it was terrible. It was just horrible. Please tell me why they do that. Please tell me who allows that. How do you feel as an American? How do you feel? How does that make you feel? Arruda, Gloria, Alex Felke, Smiling Sue. How does that make you feel? And you're an American. Well, you're a member of the conspiratorium. Isn't this horrible? It's getting worse. It's getting worse. How do they expect him to get better? How do they? It's not fair. It's not funny. It's like, why are you submitting us to this? Why are you making him do this? Why are you embarrassing us? This is the thing that nobody will ever speak to. And it's as though, and this morning, or was it yesterday? I'm not really sure. On the Joe and Meager show, they were actually saying with a straight face that they've known, who was it? Joe Scarborough was saying, I've known speakers of the House. And he is a sharp, it doesn't matter that you're saying this. I understand it, but you're insulting me. Just acknowledge, Joe, that you know that I know that you're lying. You know that I know this. And how are they going to have a debate? And he can't make 153 days of this. What's going to happen? It's not fair to him. This is the thing I don't understand. It's not fair to him. Isn't there anybody, have you no decency at long last? Have you no decency? And they're doing everything. And Biden, Hunter's case is a disaster. A disaster. Everybody who was watching this said there's no defense. There's no defense. Nothing. In every case, you could argue, well, Trump had a defense. Trump said, okay, we'll take it to trial. We'll tee it up. Sure, go ahead. A lot of leeway because of the incredible nebulousness of the statute of the charge itself. Fannie Willis is done. Her case is through. She's done. That had issues, whether this is racketeering, predicate acts, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, good. Even the case with Jack Smith, he's through too. I mean, he's through as a prosecutor. He's done. He's done. Fudging stuff, and come on, man, that'll get you. That's subject to sanctions. Anyway, that case is done. it's held indefinitely. And the January 6th case too, that's going to be weird. So at least you can go in and you can say there is a case. There is a case. There's a defense. In the Hunter Biden case, there's nothing. The FBI said that's his laptop. How many of you wonderful people remember those folks going on and saying that the people who were responsible for the laptop, were the Russians? How many heard that? How many of you heard that? Did you hear that one? Did you hear that one? It's the most. I mean, it's everybody. Clapper and that other dude and all these, every one of them. Remember that weird, what was his name with Page? Remember that strange FBI agent? When he sneered, it was this really creepy. All those people lied. Brennan, thank you so much for that, Brennan. It blows my mind. Struck, thank you, Struck. You guys are on. You're onto this. I've been talking all day today. I am fried. I don't remember my name, but in any event, thank you for that. And so I talk to people and I'm saying, does this? And by the way, Biden also said, I'm not going to pardon him. Okay, fine. So what I'm hearing, the only thing they're hoping for is the Delaware nullification, jury nullification, where the jury says, we don't care, he's a Biden, and that's it. I don't think that's going to work. This case is so horrible and so terrible. I did some good videos. I hope you're checking them out. When I say videos, I don't know what you call these things that I do. You call them a video, or who knows? Whatever you call this here thing. But I did one which is very, very critical, very, very important. And it was called Joe Biden and the Famous Corn Pop Incident. And let me give you this one. Make sure you, please, for the love of God, make sure you watch this. Because this is a beaut, an absolute beaut. And it was the time it was 2017 when that came out, 7 years ago. And at the time, during the corn pop, that's the video, and I played it. At the time, it was 2017. And I recognized that all of these things he was saying were just demented beyond anything anybody's ever seen. And I was on a show. I can't mention the show. I can't. But I was on a show the night of the election. And I remember leaning in and I said, this is 2020. I said, do you have any idea what you've just elected? Do you have any idea what you've just elected? He's out of his mind. This was in 2020 and he was still pretty good. And in 2017, he was there they renamed a pool after him in Wilmington. And he was talking about kids. He goes, come on, you kids, get the black kids up here. Come on up here. Talk about this. There's a corn pop with the pomade. We had a rule that if you had to go in the water, you had to wear a bathing cap and put pomade in your hair. And I said, hey, Esther, get off of that. Esther Williams, get off of that. And these black kids are saying, who is this? And he was off. And he has this idea about this bravado and this brio and this machismo. I took 6 foot of chain. I say, what, you better be able to slap and stick me with that knife. But we got razor blades inside the salt bucket because I had blonde hair and yellow. And I said, excuse me, do you see what he's saying? He's out of his mind. Oh, stop it. I said, no. No, I have a very simple test. Would you ever go to your doctor and say, Hey, Dad, yeah, can you wait outside for a minute? Yeah, listen, Dr. Weatherington, you got to help me out. This guy, my father walked in, he's talking about people named Corn Pop, and he's living in the past. And we got to do, you would do this for a family member. Am I right? Yes, I am. But they didn't notice anything. They just didn't care. When Hillary Clinton was going through neurological, I was on the phone immediately. I've got more doctor friends than you can imagine. I said, tell me, be honest with you. Look at Hillary Clinton. What do you see? He says, Fresnel lenses. I said, what is that? Those are those horn rim glasses. They have prismatic lenses because of double vision and diplopia. She probably has a brain contusion, concussion, very serious. That's why she's wearing that, because she's seeing double. Double vision always seems to get the best of me. Then she had the Fresnel lenses. Remember that? Remember those Don Was purple, cobalt, blue miners things? Remember after she fell 9/11? That is also for photophobic. That's seizure related as well. Those are Weiss, very good lenses. Weiss B, whatever they are. They're just okay. There you go. Now, then it gets better. Then, and this is critical, then she was doing the head jerking. She would freak out. She would have her Secret Service agent with a benzo pen one time jumped on. So I gave all these. I was on a show one time. Oh, it was like New York. It was called New York One. And I said, I don't even think she's going to, and I was pointing this out. And they looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, she's sick. Nobody cares. I'm thinking, am I missing something here? What does it take for people? Do they not know this? I mean, aren't people into, medicine stuff? I guess. It's the most, it's beyond anything I've ever seen. I'm from another planet. I'm from another planet. There was a story, one of the best versions, and I was trying to explain this. Donald Trump, why he wastes time on going on Hannity, I have no idea. I have no earthly idea. We understand it. You got screwed in court. Got it. Can you talk to somebody who might want to vote for you? Can you maybe, just who might want to vote for you, but need something other than to hear about how Judge Mershon screwed you over and how, I know it's important to you, but we don't care about that. Nobody's going to vote for you because you were indicted. In fact, some people kind of look at not that's something that you'd be proud of. Tell them what you want to do. So they took what Tucker Carlson, who, by the way, Tucker Carlson is either going to be heading for a cliff and will be the biggest burnout of all time, or he's going to rephrase, reframe, and reconfigure politics from now until the end of time. He's talking to but he was talking to Orban, and he is all over the place, which is good, which is terrific. And he's hitting his stride. He's got his thing done. He's got his groove on. You know what I mean? He's got but he does these things that are very, very good. He's very, very, very good. And again, I don't know if they're going to let him get away with this, but what have you. But this is something that he said the other day, or maybe he said it and they put it to music, or I don't know how they did this. But in any event, listen to this music. This is the thing that I want people to understand. This is the message, President Trump, not the court stuff. I know you like going on Hannity because he's your buddy and all that, but it's like two guys, two frat brothers digging each other. By the way, thank you for the sticker of super. Thank you so much for that. You're very kind. Okay, listen to this.
Millions of Americans sincerely love Donald Trump. They love him in spite of everything they've heard. They love him often in spite of himself. They love Donald Trump because no one else loves them. The country they built,
Well,
the country their ancestors fought for over hundreds of years, has left them to die in their unfashionable little towns, mocked and despised by the sneering half-wits with finance degrees but no actual skills who seem to run everything all of a sudden. Whatever Donald Trump's faults,
Yep.
he is better than the rest of the people in charge. At least he doesn't hate them for their weakness. Donald Trump, in other words, is and has always been a living indictment of the people who run this country. That was true 4 years ago when Trump came out of nowhere to win the presidency.
Yes.
And it's every bit as true right now. Trump rose because they failed. It's as simple as that. If the people in charge had done a halfway decent job with the country they inherited, if they'd cared about anything other than themselves, even for just a moment,
yep.
Donald Trump would still be hosting Celebrity Apprentice. But they didn't. Instead, they were incompetent and narcissistic and cruel and relentlessly dishonest. They wrecked what they didn't build. They lied about it. They hurt anyone who told the truth about what they
Dear
were
Roger
doing.
Stone.
That's true. We watched. America is still a great country, the best in the world, but our ruling class
Look at
is
that.
disgusting. A vote for Trump is a vote against them. That's what's going on in this country.
That's the best thing in the world. See, tell me how it works. Tell me the story. That's the story. Linda, thank you, Linda. Thank you so much for that. This is the thing. It's so simple. Today I was don't ask me. I was in the store looking for something. And there's this little store I look into. I don't know why, but they have potato chips and popcorn from like every part of the world. I don't know why. Always in half bags. You got a big bag and there's nothing in there, a lot of air. And I looked at each one. And I'm saying, why would I buy this over this? Very simple idea. It's popcorn. Okay. I've been there. This says sea salt. This says kettle. Oh, this one says movie theater. And it's okay, I got it. And they probably put this through focus groups. They're trying to sell me. I've got all this stuff there. Then they got chips from, oh my God, they're all over the place. Triangular, blue chips, this. Why do I want this? Okay. It comes down to basically telling you something. Either you know the name brand or there's something about packaging. I've got 1 second just to get you. That's all. Thank you, Kent Lamison. Thank you. So when Trump says, what is it that you're going to vote for me for? What is it? What is it? Same to you, my friend Ronald. Thank you, sir. What is it? What's the word? Why are you going to vote for somebody? Especially somebody, remember, I don't care about people who are going to vote for him. That's why, Mr. President Trump, why are you on Hannity's show? You should be doing videos. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand how he doesn't do something where he's talking to you at his business or something where he is so good. I'd like to see this. I'd like to do something where, I mean, if I had it, I would say, okay, put the camera on him and act like here's the camera, and I'll sit to I'll sit to the right of it, and you ask me a question. And the first question is, why do you do it? And the reason why do you do it's important, because why do you do it means, why is it worth fighting for? What are you fighting for? What is this whole thing? Why don't you just say, you're 77 years old. Why don't you just, what is it? Is it just pride? What is it? Tell me. There was a question one time where they asked Ted Kennedy, why do you want to be president? And he couldn't answer the question. That's the first question you have down is, why do I run? Why? They all know he doesn't need it. Because I believe, let's say the Bonacera speech from The Godfather, because I believe in America. I believe in this country. And I want to preserve it. And this country is, remember something, listen to me very carefully. I don't want to get corny now, but I want you to listen to me. when we talk about the days of totalitarian regimes, and people talk about Hamas and Hezbollah and the Russians, and they're not going to hurt us. They're not going to step 1 foot on this ground. Listen, believe me, Hezbollah knows. Don't even do it. You touch us, we're going to blame you, and we know where you live. They know this. America will demand a Hellfire missile. So that's not good. That's not it. We're going to collapse because of the people who are destroying the internal foundations of this country. The little things, safety, border. You see, in the, what was it, Thomas? I forget his name. Wilson, and it's called the broken window theory. And this is what Rudy Giuliani said. And the idea is simply this. If you have a neighborhood and there's one building that has a broken window and you don't fix it, it sends a message out to everybody that you don't care about the place. And you're going to see more broken windows, and then crime, and then other things as well. John McGuire couldn't get hired, says Trump will continue to do shows like Hannity for the same reason older restaurants still use parsley as a garnish. They are stuck in the past. I'm sad to say you're correct. Sean Hannity still thinks it's Rush Limbaugh and Ronald Reagan, and it's a different time. It's a completely different time. And you've got to have simple things, 3 things. 3 points. 3 points. You could do all the polling. And there's 1 point. Did you see when Fitty was at the White House? Or the Capitol Hill, by the way? Somebody says that Trump has to be liked his entire life, his presentation. Maybe, but he knows, and thank you, by the way. He knows the look. He knows kind of like he knows the shtick, as it were. But here's the bottom line. What is it? As I said, Fitty, I call him Fitty. Fitty was at Capitol Hill, and he was ostensibly talking about liquor or something with Ben Crump, of all people. Not exactly Clarence Darrow, but whatever. And they asked him, he said, black folks like Trump. And he mentioned something because of racketeering or something. He's like, no, that's not it. You know what black folks want? Same thing you want. Americans don't know anything about black folks. Nothing. Do you have black friends? Well, yeah. Do you have black friends you hang around? I don't have any friends. But when you did have friends, did you have black families you were with and spent time with and vacation with? No. Same reason why you didn't have Korean friends. And the same reason why the black friends didn't have you. It has nothing to do with race. It's not racism. It's not racism. The same way you don't hang around people who are older than you or younger than you, for the most part, unless they're family members. There's not racism. But because of that separation, we don't know each other. We don't know each other. We don't. And we think that white people think that black folks are into, that they all like hip hop and, I remember years ago, there was this debate. You might have heard about it. There was a debate that we're going to change the sentencing guidelines rules. And they were going to change them so that they were going to up the penalty for crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. And it was obviously racist, right? Because white folks were doing, powder, and that remained the same. But the ones doing crack, well, those were black folks. And black folks, well, we didn't like that. Okay? And people said all the time, look how racist that is. This is terrible. This is obviously a slam against, okay. So one day, I forget where it was. It was some debate, and there was a black gentleman who was there. And they asked him, what do you think about this new change where the sentencing guidelines were to be changed, where crack cocaine was given a higher sentence? And he said, do you know what an insult that is to me? What the hell do I care about crack cocaine? I don't do cocaine. I don't care. That's not a black person's concern. What are we all cocaine users? What? We don't know black people. We don't know anything about them. But I'll tell you, I'll save your time. They're like you. They're just like you. They may like some different music. I can tell you some places of Queens where I swear to God, you will think you are in another country. You'll see flavors of Latino and Chinese, and you can't believe it, with different music and different food, but they're just like you. And they're hardworking, and you can't categorize them. You can't. Okay. So they recognize they kind of like Trump. And it's not because he's a gangster. It's not because Fiddy says this. He likes him the same way you like him. And I got to be honest with you, right off the bat, I'll be the first one. I liked him because he went after people I didn't like. The enemy of my enemy. First thing I did, I didn't know anything about Trump. I didn't vote for him in 2016. I voted for me. I'm not going to vote for him. I voted for me. I'm telling you. But he all of a sudden was going to take on Hillary Clinton. I thought, okay. All right. Good for him. I like that. Remember, he's chemotherapy. He goes after the cancer. And then he started doing some things. Some things were stupid. Some things were not. But yeah, there were. But all of a sudden, things changed. Unemployment. Everything was great. Wall Street was humming. Everybody loved him. This he knew. He met Kim Jong-un. He went. God. He showed a genius one time when he said he exhibited that classic hostage negotiating thing where you recognize and empathize, as I said, where you said, this is a young man who's got a tremendous responsibility for his country. I've got a lot of respect for him. You know, he's inherited from his father and blah, 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 blah. Wow. Wow. Very good. Very good. What do you like that? Versus that or pissing a guy off? And they respected him. You know this. You know the whole story. And the number one issue that I don't understand, and Mrs. L talks about this all day long, as do we, but the one that gets everybody's attention is this idea, this thing, this horror called
This was a bigger group.
The horrors that are out on the border. This is this guy from Fox News. He's very, very good. Malugin. He's very good. Very good. And this is the part, this, you've got to see this. Look at the pictures. Look at this. Look at the cinematography of this. Look at the way they framed the shot. This is very good. You get people just walking in. These aren't bad. They don't look, do they look like terrorists to you? I don't know what a terrorist looks like. I really don't have a problem. I don't have hate for these. I understand most of them. The vast majority want, they want what we have.
Take a look at this. This was a bigger group of predominantly Middle Eastern men who crossed illegally here in
Middle Eastern.
Kumba. Several of them, those special interest aliens we're talking about, meaning they are coming from countries that DHS has concerns about for potential national security or terrorism issues. They're supposed to get additional vetting. Caught up with several guys from Jordan, Egypt, and Turkey. Take a listen. Jordan. Yeah. Why'd you come to Egypt? Why'd you come to America?
For a job.
For a job?
Yeah.
You know it's illegal to cross the border like this, right?
Yeah.
You don't care?
Yes, I'm okay.
Hi, guys. Where are you guys from?
Yes, I don't care.
What country? Egypt?
Egypt.
Where are you from? What country?
I am from Turkey.
Turkey?
Yeah.
All Turkey?
Kurdish. Yeah. America. I love America. I love you. I love America.
Where are you from?
From Egypt.
Egypt.
I love America.
Egypt. Egypt. Guys, we got some pretty stunning
What the hell is an Egypt contingent? Egypt, you know, the Alexandria crowd? How the hell did they get from Egypt here?
data from our CBP contacts. Since October 1st here in San Diego sectors, there's been about 260,000 illegal immigrants apprehended by Border Patrol. We're told of that number, 78% of them have been released into the United States. And we're told that's primarily because a lot of the people crossing here are coming from countries.
One more time. Listen to this.
October 1st here in San Diego sectors, there's been about 260,000 illegal immigrants apprehended.
Since October the 1st.
Apprehended by Border Patrol. We're told of that number, 78% of them have been released into the United States. And we're told that's primarily because a lot of the people crossing here are coming from countries where it is very difficult to deport people. They're not afraid of deportation. You heard that Jordanian guy tell me when I asked him, you don't care about crossing illegally? He says, yes, I don't care.
Isn't that something? This is it, my friends. I mean, listen. And one of the best things and one of the best approaches is not to be ham-fisted. But my father used to do it. He had this approach where he would say things like, well, if you think that's a good idea, then maybe you know something I don't. Because you know what? I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea to not know who is coming in your border. See, because when we go different places, they have a passport and you go to customs and they stamp you in and stamp you out and they kind of know who you are. And that's kind of the way we do things. And people expect it to be like that. But you know, this is a different story. Does that make sense to you? I don't think that makes sense. And you want people to say, no, I don't think that makes sense. Don't tell them, ask them. Do you think something should be done about this? Do you want to continue with this? It's the most incredible thing. I mean, it is beyond anything I've ever even seen, my friends. Beyond anything we've ever seen. And this is going on. And you've almost become acclimated to it. You've almost become, dare I say, acclimated. You know what I would like? 500 likes. Call me crazy. Call me a dreamer. I'm a dreamer. Remember those folks who came in? They were called dreamers. I'm a dreamer. Nothing but a dream. Supertramp. It blows my mind. I got a president who's walking around, God forbid, God knows what he's doing and is soiling himself. I've got an ex-president who is being blasted by everyone who is, this is third world banana republic stuff. And I've got friends of mine, regular people I know, people who say, oh, that Trump, he's terrible. And I thought, where do you live? What parallel universe do you live in? Can you imagine what it's going to be 40 years from now? Because this is going to keep going. This is, they say that when people are alcoholism, when you are drinking for a long period of time, when you stop, that continues, that range or that particular, whatever, it escalates, it increases, it continues. It's a progressive disease. So if you stop, and if you fall off the wagon, as they say, you pick up not where you left off, but where you would have been had you considered. So they say. Well, the same thing goes for this. You can stop these folks now with President Trump. That's great. But the underlying disease is still there. Speaking of disease, have you seen all these kids with colon cancer, kids going through they're now looking at energy drinks, they're looking at microplastics. These kids are just. I wanted to share this one thing with you. Oh, I wanted to share because I know this will make you so angry because I know the thing that gets people crazy. Let me see. This is the one that I saw, which was so. It was about raw milk. And it was this one of these whole plant foods, plant-based guys who laughed at this and says, what do you want raw milk for? And they said, well, you know, it's healthy. He goes, but why do you want milk? And they said, what? I said, why do you want the milk from a cow? Milk from an animal that's not human. Do you want giraffe milk or rat milk or what do you? And it was the most fascinating question. And this person said, well, what are you saying? They said, why are you drinking milk? We were never intended to drink milk at all. This is human, a mother's milk, but that's about it. Where did you get this idea from? Now, of course, you're not going to keel over dead, but there's this problem, you know, with the casein and these other particular enzymes. Make a long story short, I'm not going to go through this milk thing. It's a free country. Do whatever you want. But sometimes when people are hit with things that say, wait a minute, you mean the foundation that I was thinking, you mean there's something wrong with it? Yeah, there's something wrong with it. Why? That's custom. You were born in captivity. That's what you did then. Nobody knows better. It couldn't hurt and kind of tastes good. And you know, what are you going to do? Nobody wants to change. Nobody wants to hear these fundamental things. But the question, which was the most interesting, is that why do you want to drink milk in the first place? That's another animal's milk. What? Never saw that. That's how people don't think about Trump. They don't ask very simple questions. Like, for example, do you want 4 more years of this? Nothing personal. I mean, I don't care. But do you want 4 more years? Do you want another Mayorkas? Do you want another Kamala Harris? Do you want another booty giggity giggity? Do you want more drag shows or pronoun? Do you want more of this? And in the event of the next, I don't know what you want to call it, not pandemic, but something, do you want these same people? Don't you love the way Fauci just, I mean, he speaks with this sense of arrogance, this impunity, because he knows he's not going to get caught. He's got nothing to worry about. So, my friends, what a day we've had. What a day we have had. Let me thank you so much for this. Let me also thank you for the love and the respect you were showing Mrs. O. I think she has the most important mission of anybody you can imagine. This is her website, I keep saying website, YouTube, Lynn's Warriors. Let me say something, and let me say this, and let me say that this is my opinion and my opinion only. There are more phonies out there in the child trafficking, human trafficking world than you can imagine. There are more phonies than you can imagine. I mean, they say stuff and people think, what do you? They have no idea of what's happening. No idea of what is happening. Lynn's Warriors, follow her on YouTube. What is going on is so insidious that it's not to do these people. Everybody, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I will out certain people who are just frauds in any event. That's one more time. This is the link. Just click on this and that's it. All right, dear friends. Thank you so very much. Linda Hartlow, let me see. JTE, thank you. John McGuire, good to get higher. Ronald Weech, Kent Lomason, everybody. Linda Hazlett, IRS or LRS, I'm not really sure. Thank you. Antediluvian Doomer, Antediluvian, Before the Flood. And Alex Felke, thank you. Felka or Felk, thank you so much for your kindness. All right, my friends, we'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. per usual. Same bad time, same bad channel. Have a great and a groovy night. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for spending time away from your busy schedule to be a part of us. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. And don't forget, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya.